Hello there, my name is Lamin Jai and this is News Review. Coming up on the show today, so a female witness on Tuesday, that is today, continued to give testimony in the trial of Boubacar Keita, accused of raping a 16-year-old girl. It's been weeks since drivers were allowed to carry up to their full capacity, that is their original capacity on the law, following a strike threat there by them. Now, after more than 2 months, the drivers are carrying to their normal capacity, but they have refused to return the price of a normal trip to $8. They are charging $10. Jakas Jada will tell us more about that. Almame Fandin Tal, that's the spokesman of United Democratic Party, is my guest today. UDP issued a statement on Tuesday condemning comments there by Amat Bah. He will join me later. Before all of this, we will look at the story, the papers, and see what they are reporting on today. I have the Standard and the Point newspapers. They are, well, let's start with the Standard and see what they are saying. My defense, Amat, FGAC, that's for the former Speaker of the House, Fatoumata Jahumpa Cissé. Jammeh made mistakes, but COVID-19 regulations ignored at most schools in GBA, that's the Greater Banjul area. Dr. Salah says medical profession helpless to stop Jammeh's HIV cure. Busumbala Nam, MP there, explains why he voted against draft constitution. Foreign Interior Minister and leader of Gambia Moral Congress has come to the defense of Tourism Minister Amat Bah, who faced criticism for his tribal comments at a State House meeting on Saturday. Minister Bah's Dirimo or Rad characterization of political opponents attracted widespread condemnation across the political spectrum. The comments were described as inappropriate. Mr. Bah has since apologized for his comments but defended his highlighting of the plight of Fullers with regard to ID card problem. However, my party differs with many people when it comes to the intent and interpretation in relation to the person of Minister Bah. My personal views, or my views, are based on my personal interaction, knowledge and understanding of the person of Amat Bah. In all my dealings with him, I did not find him as a tribalist. That's according to my party. FJC, Jammeh made mistakes, but former Speaker of the National Assembly, Fatoumata Jahumpa Cissé, a staunch supporter of APRC, has said although Jammeh had made mistakes during his 22-year rule, his good work can still be noticed everywhere in the country. Yes, there were mistakes. If anyone tells you there were no mistakes in his governance, that person is not a human being or he must be a liar. Even Jammeh knows he had made mistakes, some of which are very close to him, both in his administration and his family. Nobody is perfect, but he has equally done some very good things that are benefiting people today. She told a Star FM radio program to be aired on Tuesday, that's today. COVID-19 regulations ignored at most schools in GBA. Students and teachers returning to schools from the COVID-19 restrictions, including tertiary institutions, have not been observing regulations surrounding the reopening of schools. A survey conducted by the Standard has revealed that must have been the face mask, the social distancing, and all of that restrictions or guidelines there. Dr. Salah says medical profession helpless to stop Jammeh's HIV cure. Dr. Adama Salah, a senior medical practitioner and the proprietor of Lamtoro Medical Services, yesterday told the TRRC that medical professionals were helpless to rise up against former President Jammeh's alternative treatment program. I think one last story on the Standard has to do with the Busumbala MP there. Busumbala Nam explains why he voted against draft constitution. Sekuba Jaju, the National Assembly member for Busumbala constituency, has said the rejection of the draft constitution doesn't mean those who voted against it don't want any other constitution to come. The rejection of the draft constitution is to tell the executive to go back and try to figure out and put in some of the concerns that members have put across, he told the Standard. Let's turn to the point. CJ, that's the Chief Justice, urges relentless efforts for new constitutional framework. EU disburses 25 million euros to mitigate effects of coronavirus crisis in Gambia. Agri Minister pays tribute to women in Jara. So on the point, Chief Justice Hassan Boubacar Jallow, that's Hassan B. Jallow, has stated that the country must not relent in its efforts to ensure that we come up with a new constitutional framework. EU disburses 25 million euros to mitigate effects of coronavirus crisis in the Gambia. The European Union has disbursed 25 million euros of budget support for the Gambia's response to the coronavirus pandemic, according to a media release. I think that's about $1.5 billion that has been freshly given to the Gambia by the European Union. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back. So a female witness on Tuesday, that's today, continued to give testimony in the trial of Boubacar Keita, the 29-year-old businessman who has been accused of raping a 16-year-old girl. More in this report.
A witness in the trial of Boubacar Keita, accused of rape, said on Tuesday the man she got married to in 2014 was Boubacar Keita, the same man as the accused. Yes, it's him. The first witness in the trial, while being examined by prosecutors, said a few minutes into the 25-minute session. Boubacar Keita, 29, is standing trial for allegedly raping his ex-wife's 16-year-old sister last year. He has denied any culpability. During Tuesday's court session, the witness said while married, she stayed with her husband in the compound of the latter's father in a KM town. It was 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. The witness said after the prosecuting lawyer asked her the number of rooms that made up the apartment she lived with her husband. The witness told the High Court in Bundung it was 5 of them that lived in the apartment: herself, her husband, her sister, and her 2 kids. Tida is my sister. We share the same parents, the witness responded when asked about her relationship with one of the occupants of the apartment. She then gave a sketch of how the apartment looked like. When you enter the apartment, you first have the living room. The first bedroom is opposite the living room, but no one sleeps in there because we felt that the children cannot sleep alone. They either sleep with us or my sister. So the second bedroom is where Tida was occupying. That's opposite my room. But there is a store and a bathroom that's in between. The prosecuting lawyer then asked her to tell the court about her own room and the one her husband occupied. My ex-husband and I stayed in the same room. The kids were sleeping in either Tida's room or sometimes my room, she said. The case returns on Thursday. Reporting for the Fata Network News and View.
It's been weeks since drivers were allowed to carry up to their full capacity following a strike threat there by them. Now, after more than 2 months, the drivers are carrying to their normal capacity, but they have refused to return the price of a normal trip to $8. They are charging $10.
There have been numerous complaints from passengers about drivers increasing the cost of transport fares at their own interest. A couple of months back, when public vehicle drivers were asked to downsize the number of passengers, taxi and van drivers were receiving $10 fares instead of the usual $8. Now that all vehicles are allowed to carry up to full capacity, the transport fares for van drivers are back at $8, but there seems to be a problem as taxi drivers and some van drivers still continue to collect $10 from passengers even with its full capacity.
So I think it's wrong to be taking more than you're supposed to. Some of them, when you request for your fares back, especially in the night, they will be like, I don't drive for $8. So the government has a role to play because the tariff still remains the tariff, you know. Everybody knows the corona has been turbulent for all of us. Every sector of the economy has been impacted. So, and instead of not only collecting $8, they're actually breaking the path. Like I live at the Coastal Road. Now they will be telling you from the turntable to the Sukla traffic light, and then you pay for instance, if you want to go up the airport junction, you'll have to pay another amount of money, and then it's like you pay 3 fares on just that one price, which used to be like 2 fares. If you're going up to the airport junction, you will pay 12, and then if you're going up to the Costa Road, you will pay 8. So I think the government, should, step up its game and actually help the people, because they have been robbed their monies, and which is wrong. And not only the taxi drivers, even but the van drivers, you pay, and then the apprentice will keep your money, give you part of the change. When you're disembarking, they tell you, I don't have coins. And if you don't have an option, you cannot do anything about it. So it's like people should be sympathetic and understand, we need to be fair to each other, and then that way the country will move on. But if you want to be imposing stuff on people, and it's bad.
ñi dund ak ñoom di wax di yàlla taximan di wax di yàlla fi ñu toll nii kenn fayatul $8 10 dalasi lañ fay ko bare foo la ñuy def 3 ci ginnaaw ak 2 ci kanam waaw loolu daal la ñuy def wax di yàlla ñu def nañ ko droit ba nga xam ne parce que kenn mënu ci dara daal booy seet xam naa lu nguur gi ci man dara waaye moom nit ñi mënu ci dara waaw dañ ko non xam nga duñ fa nekk di discuter ndax $2 loolu mooy problème bi dañ ci temps am ñu dañ koy ndaxante sax banal moo aw ma ceeñ profiter dem seen yoon nga bàyyi mu jàll mais passager kay xanaa jigéen ñi dañu am ba nañuy xuluñu mais am na yoo xam $2 vraiment du leen jaral ñu nekk di discuter yenn yi daal mais def nañ ko droit wax dëgg yàlla def nañ ko droit de wax dëgg yàlla moom koy tentation moom la gaa appliqué tentation moom la gaa appliqué dëgg yàlla
la because waaye xam nga nit ñi tam duñ benn driver yi duñ benn dañu uti man suma boppa taxi driver la waaye man duma day jël ñeneenti nit ba pare di collecte si ñoom $10 am na ñoo xamante ne dañ la day jox $10 sax nga buggale naa ceeñ delloo ceeñ ñu leen a jëlal waaye by right su fekkee ne jël nga ñeneenti nit war ngaa delloo ku nekk $2 sam bi ku la ko may nag mun nga koo jël waaye képp ku la jox $10 war nga koo delloo $2 sam bi ba ku la may $2 sam bi man dama day jël ñeneenti nit dama day jël ñetti nit léegoo léeg sax dama day jël ñetti nit ñu jox ma $8 ma jël waaye du ma dee wax dama day noppi léegoo léeg ma jël ñeneenti nit ma delloo leen ku nekk $2 waaye am na ñoo xamante ne dañ ma day wax ne jalal $2 bi because loolu moo gën a correct sax because man foog naa ne nit ku nekk soo nekkee di liggéey li ngay liggéey ak li ngay ut war ngaa jéem a fexe nga def si loo xamante ne xëj na li ngay am mu barke.
Eka paso $10 sotame kay ko paso mentamul blokon $10 muna miro de jeba ndala miro mende je because paso nying abenu $8 le but COVID-19 nata ya paso tala ka paso kamul tala ka paso samba dalasta yo bari ngabra Gambia ngabra mbemu mokino lalti ngabra mbemu bakilem fakilon lalti yo bar ning sa en kolbita kan kolbe sone akan o danga am driver fona nyanta ka paso munde nang kana $8 to because ndafan ka jele driver ning kidanga dole kanyo saba kanyo sonkala $2 sola me alon ko sinyon sono sinyon do sono $2 sola bare sinyo sabala fa ke itema problem modi o manyinya because bi nim paso ke $1 stand kula tan nak $1 stand sa no ko nyin talata waro ko nyin alhamdulillah sumayata sa nda ngamro jara mandaro nyama wala driver fonam fere nyim making nga paso munde nang dal si sey vanol de wal bakande wal kad paso jola dal si sey bar taxi fonam modol beje na society kono e bukala fi moje ma fon la
nga xam nga lu nekk problème client yi they fail to understand pass ñëpp xam ne pass $8 la yaa ngi digal ma la wa dafa yomba soo duggee si moto nga jox driver sa pass testing bes ko jox ma suma $2 dëkk bi dafa am lu wa ko jox ma suma $2 nga xool na dina bañ na bañut waaye yow nga fay $10 nga wàcca dem waxuloo dara nga ne léegi driver yi yëpp ñëpp $10 leen dee ko lay soo joxee sa $10 xool driver ne jox ma suma keeñ nga xool lu mu laa tontu parce que ñu xam ne pass yokkute pass.
On a phone interview with Omar Cisse, the president of the Gambia Transport Union, he stated that as far as the union is concerned, the fare remains $8 and that the union is not in support of this act as it is illegal. He further added that the union is planning on going on a country tour to speak to its members on various issues including the cost of transport fares. This has brought about questions as to what the regulatory bodies are doing to ensure that there is price control in the country. Reporting for the Fatu Network, there have been numerous complaints.
Watanbe, brought to you by Afrisa.
Be part of the amazing conversations with Gambia's greatest minds and personalities. Get ready to be entertained, inspired, and motivated on the Watanbe platform. Plus, stand stand a chance of winning the shopping of your life. Call or SMS 1010 for $3 is only to win cash prizes and a free shopping spree.
Join Watan Be live on GRTS social media on Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Kailin New Watan.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Thank you and welcome back. I am now joined by my guest, Almamital, the spokesman of the United Democratic Party. He was supposed to join me in the studio, but for other issues he couldn't make it. He will be speaking me over the phone. We'll discuss the party's statement issued late evening yesterday. Came out today. That's the statement there by the UDP condemning remarks or comments by Honorable Ahmad Ba, Tourism Minister, over the weekend. Mr. Almamital, thank you for accepting to speak to me there.
Thank you very much, Lamin. How's your evening?
Oh, great. So tell us, this statement there by, you came as a group, you came up with a statement to condemn the remarks there by Ahmad. Tell us, put it in a context for you. Why did you decide to react to his comments?
Firstly, because if anybody is engaged in demagoguery and divisive speech, if not outright hate speech in the country, I think every Gambian organization requires that those kind of comments don't go unchallenged. But most importantly, these comments were made at the State House of the nation. This is a complete non-partisan ground. It is the politics that Yahya Jammeh left behind that is rearing its ugly head again. These are things that we want our compatriots to look at very seriously, because it seems as if this government is engaged in the same tactics, in the same role play that Yahya Jammeh has inaugurated in the Gambia. When we were going to school, no political activity happens at the State House, and it was even a lot less open than any other institution that you have in the Gambia. So as a political party, when we hear this kind of speech coming out of the State House, in the presence of the President, in the presence of cabinet ministers, really it is a matter of great concern, and we cannot just let it go like that.
Mr. Tal, do you think, in your opinion, do you think the UDP has the moral authority to, condemn anything that has to do with divisive remarks?
We don't only have the moral authority, we have the political responsibility to comment on divisive remarks anywhere in the Gambia and around the world.
So, Mr. Tal, do you know the reason why I asked you that question?
I hope we are not doing a puzzle here, Lamin. If you want to ask me questions,
it's not a puzzle. The reason why I asked you this is because of this thing that I'm going to play to you. It's a 30-minute video, so you will bear with me and listen carefully. I will play the video to you, and then we will pick it up from there.
His Excellency His Excellency Akonyani Bay. Party killing. Bena party. Amna party yo xamne. Ako party do beje men yolonko. Waru fi am dara. Wol ma ñam fe sotla jande. Seen doomi sosé la. Ku seen mu man ni ka digolati. Wa ñaani la. Ñaani digolo mati. Mo fi joge nañ ma nga tribalism. Ako na boto jan ñaano ya fa tribal ya be sifa fa solla. Ako bara Akali badi ya fasa to le siata Gambia be kono. Ali bani ya fasa. Akali badi ya fasa. Mala baninti. Kan mo sen mboka. His Excellency His Excellency Ñani be. Ako ñani be. Party killing. Bena party. Amna party yo xamne. Ako party do beje men yolonko. Waru fi am dara. Wol ma ñam fe sotla jande. Seen doomi sosé la. Ku seen mu man ni ka digolati. Wa ñani la. Ñani digolo mati. Mo fi joge nañ ma nga tribalism. Ako na boto jan ñaano ya fa tribal ya be sifa fa solla. Ako bara akali badi ya badi.
So, Mr. Tal, that is a 30-minute video, and in it is Ajiyam Seka, your party's number 2. Sometime back in March, There was a meeting that was held in the Nyani part of the country where she spoke. I'm sure you have seen that video where she was calling on Mandinkas to Fasa, if you like, to farle their fellow Mandinka Usainu Dabo. I'm sure you saw the video.
Yes, I have.
So how do you reconcile that with the fact that here is UDP condemning Ahmad Ba for making the same, if not exact, but similar comments? You never condemned your own.
No, we responded to the comments that were in the media. I remember very clearly. I said, the language that was used there is very common. You heard it, we hear it a lot. Charity begins at home. Buganala, Sumabobama Leginaldo Nebanala. I mean, those kind of remarks are very different from a state minister responsible for culture in a country that is trying to reconcile, in a country that has come from exactly that kind of behavior that Yaya Jammeh was doing here, and using derogatory words like Durumo, and I saw him also trying to explain to you what he means by that. But what I'm trying to be very clear about is that if we are going to compare mangoes and bananas, we are going to be caught here in a political context. People say all kinds of things. Sometimes it is unmeasured, sometimes it is unnecessary, sometimes it is outrightly not true. But what the minister has alleged is that there is systemic discrimination against the Fula community. And he is the Minister of State, the Minister of Interior, who is responsible for for immigration matters, is a cabinet minister. It's not the best forum to discuss this in the cabinet. If there is, as he alleges, that there is discrimination against a whole community or individuals just because of their ethnicity, that is a very serious matter. What is the government doing about it? I think that should have been the point of discussion. But this is not discussed. Allegations are made without substantiation. And then the media also comes and asks the UDP to give the moral authority to condemn divisive politics. We have been condemning divisive politics from day one.
But Aji Yamsek was never condemned.
Ajiyam was not engaged in divisive politics.
But that's, with all due respect, I disagree. That is exactly what Aji Yamsek did.
No, you disagree. That is an opinion that is acceptable. There are some people who are also with the same view that you have. But the case of the Minister of Tourism and Culture, I'm sure you are a better judge of that. Maybe you have conducted polls to determine that. The fact of the matter is that these are not the same issues. These are different issues. I mean, you may disagree that what the deputy party leader was talking about was, in a way, she herself explained that. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that I'm playing the tribalism card here. She herself acknowledged that.
Then she was accepting and admitting that that is exactly what she was doing. Nothing could be more reckless and irresponsible and dangerous than that.
My opinion is that the two situations are not comparable. One, this was within the context of a community, and he is speaking there. The other statement was made in the State House of the Gambia. I mean, this is not like any other person. This is a state minister, and there is a state minister who is responsible. So what I am saying is that if you want to engage in a comparison of that, or make UDP to be some kind of a bogeyman, or to be saying two different things on two different occasions, you are welcome to do that. What is clear to us, and what we have heard from the majority of Gambians, is that this statement on Saturday
But you know, for me, the problem, the reason why I brought this is out has to do with the fact that there is what is called consistency in what politicians and political organizations and political groups do, what they say, how they behave as groups, as politicians. That is absolutely important. If you are speaking from both sides of the mouth, then that's a problem. For you to be taken seriously would become a problem, right?
Levin, you are absolutely right to hold politicians accountable and ask them to be consistent. But you have to also respect politicians to make judgment about what they should condemn and what they cannot condemn. That is as simple as it is. I mean, for me, if you tell me that, oh, this is you are not being consistent or inconsistent, this may as well be your opinion. It doesn't mean that it is the opinion of the majority of the people that I am speaking for.
Okay, how about this then? I have seen other claims out there that there is a certain group. I've seen some claims saying that the UDP, adherents interpreted this as being, directly for them. These comments, these rat comments, that the UDP people think that Ahmad Ba was, strictly talking about them, about the UDP. Is that the feeling within the UDP?
Well, it's not the feeling within the UDP. Clearly, you can see from our statement, our focus was not on that, even the tribalism element. It is the assumption of state officials of a very dangerous strategy, nowhere but on state-owned property, state grounds. And that is exactly what our statement came out to condemn, that this is a whole government system that is on a daily basis engaged in a politics that we thought we had given our back to. I mean, you cannot go to the State House and talk about things that are not helping this country move forward. This is what exactly our statement was not so interested in the content of what Mr. Ba said, whether it refers to a particular community or not. In fact, we try as much as possible to say that any attempt to discriminate against any Gambian community should be condemned, and the government and every Gambian has a responsibility to make sure that everybody is treated equal before the law. Everybody is in a position to enjoy their human rights. The Gambia belongs to all of us. This is what we are trying to put across. You cannot go to the Gambian House, the preeminent Gambian House, and hold rallies there and talk about things that you, in fact, can do something about. I think I saw one of the social commentators making the same point, that look, you are the government of the day. If things are going wrong in the government, why can't you correct it? Why are you going and making incendiary comments that is not helping anybody?
Clearly. I also see, finally, I saw in your statement, you said the Barrow and his acolytes are turning the State House into a stomping ground. What do you mean by that?
It's not evident. I mean, the State House is not a political ground. It's the representation of the Gambian national unity and sovereignty. If you have meetings there inviting communities and then start talking about things that are not relevant to the nation, I mean, obviously you are turning it into something that it is not. And just last week, regulations were relaxed, as a result of which people are now thinking about what is the post-COVID recovery strategy of this government. Why is it so impossible for journalists like you to have a tete-a-tete with this government? Every time you have a spokesperson who sends very confusing, very convoluted text about how this government is run, as if he is the generalissimo of the Gambia. So really,
no, honestly, when it comes about the government and its spokespeople, these are terrible people to deal with. We go through hell just to get them to talk. So you can understand our frustration sometimes. It is not that we don't approach them or we don't, go to them to interview them. But all the time, you cannot access them. It's extremely difficult to get them. So really, that is another thing.
And we are all looking looking forward to the awards of the GPU because the journalism in the Gambia is maturing, it is focused, it is doing great, fantastic things. People are being now exposed for what they are, the corruption that is within this government. For me, I think these are the issues that needs to be discussed in the cabinet and at the State House, not that there is a tribal group that is suffering this or that is suffering that. And you are the government of the day. You have your colleagues in cabinet. For me, really, I think, we Gambians should now wake up to this reality, that the politics that we have inherited from Yahya Jammeh is here in broad daylight, and it is insulting the intelligence of the Gambia. It is trying to create a situation where Gambia will not get out of this quagmire of politics of no purpose, dogo politics that doesn't represent any interest other than a few individuals' pocket interest.
And finally, I've also seen your party launching your sub-regional political bureau in Kiang. I can see movement everywhere. You have, while this was going on, the president was busy meeting his mobilizers. UDP was busy laying the foundation stone of its political bureau in Kiang, where your party leader said, okay, UDP has no competitor in LRR. Really, is that the case? You really don't have anyone to compete you in that part of the country?
Well, the evidence, like they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I mean, the crowd that you saw there, when they are against the party leadership's orders, that look, this is just a foundation stone laying, and this is not the headquarters of UDP in the LRR. It is in Jarasoma actually and Mansakongo. I mean, we laid the foundation stone, I think, 2 years ago in I think the Mansakongo one, or the Jarasoma bureau is already ready. I mean, the building has been completed. Really, the party is gearing up, God willing. After the rains, a very successful rains, we are thankful to Allah for that. But really, we are now posing the question to Gambians: how do you feel about your country 4 years after dictatorship? What has changed fundamentally? We have seen the collapse of the constitution-making process. We have seen this debacle at the central bank, where for no good reason, the governor of the central bank was transferred to a ministry that he has no expertise or interest in serving against the established law of the land. So clearly, Mr. Jai, if you look at it anyway, this government has to explain to Gambians what it has been doing with all the goodwill, with all the hard work that Gambians have given to it over this 4 years period. But our party, we are mobilized, we are engaged, we are with the grassroots, we are participating in these by-elections that are coming up, and we are building a strong and a trusting alliance, which we believe in 2021 is going to change the political map of this country.
Mr. Almar Mithal, thank you very much for accepting to speak to me. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye-bye. That's Almar Mithal, the spokesman of United Democratic Party, speaking to Ross there, which will bring us to the end of today's show. Thank you for being there. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then.